Hello there. Welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today, let us look SAP ETM overview. So basically, first let us understand what is equipment and tools management. So basically, the term ETM in SAP is used for the equipments and tools management. So it's a application component from the SAP perspective. So it's equipment and tools management is the solution which SAP is providing basically for planning, administration, settlement, and performance management of equipment and material. So this solution has three functions. You can say you can do it for the planning. So the equipment planning, it means where to use it, how to use it, and those kind of planning. Then the administration in the sense, for example, you will have an assets or the equipment. So then how to handle it, and for example, the availability, non-availability, all kind of the equipment. So those kind of things will be there. Then the third thing, which is the settlement. So settlement in the sense, what happens, though, because there will be a cost incurred in tuning. If you say from the asset perspective, you will have a depreciation cost of the equipment which you have purchased it. Then there will be running cost, you can say the maintenance cost. So there will be two kind of maintenance, right? Because you will have a preventive maintenance as well as you will have a breakdown maintenance. So those kind of maintenance will be there. Then again, you will have, for example, if some kind of equipment you need an operator. So again, that operator cost will be there. So this kind of cost, where do you settle it, how to settle, those kind of things also can be addressed in equipment and tools management, or you can say simply it is called ETM. So let's look to the next part. So why equipment and tools management? So what is the use, right? What are the use of this? Why you want equipment tools management? Because as you know, in SAP ERP, already component, or you can say an application available planned maintenance. So if it is there, then what is the use of the equipment and tools management? That will be a doubt on it. So basically, it has some functions which PM cannot address it. So that is the reason SAP has given this additional application or additional component which we need to use it. For example, the first one, easy shipment of equipment and material. So here the shipment means, for example, so here there is when you're talking about an equipment, we may consider the two kind of equipment, right? Some of the equipment may be from the plant maintenance perspective. Yes, suppose something which is stationary, say a motor or a generator, So everything which is considered as an equipment. But for example, if you look at from a construction industry perspective, so there are equipments like construction equipments are there. So these equipments, okay, from PM perspective, it is equipment, but this equipment also you need to ship to the different sites, right? And for example, if you are talking about, there are companies which they do equipment rental, and for them also you need to ship it. So this kind of shipment of equipment, and there is a material, for example, you are shipping some kind of crane, and along with the crane there will be other additional tools, so additional consumables. So these kind of things also you need to ship it. So this kind of scenario, if you want to address, straightforward functions are not available in PM. So these things are which is now is available in equipment and tools management. Then reduction of handling and administration cost. So here again, the better tracking and administration of these things will be smoother when you have an ATM, so that will give you a reduction cost. Then equipment location tracking. So this is an important thing. For example, yes, when you're talking about a plant maintenance, yes, we have the concept of equipment which is installed to a functional location. So that kind of is a location. You can say it's a fixed location. But suppose you keeps on moving an equipment from one location to another location, then what happens? You need to create a multiple function location and see that sites are not really a functional location, but that kind of workaround normally we do it. But when it comes to equipment and tools management or in ATM, yes, this kind of functionalities are available where you can say, for example, how do you keep track of material movements. Similar fashion, you can keep track of the equipment location tracking. Then the options are available: internal cost charging and billing according to customer requirements. This is something which really unique for ETM, because with this you cannot do it from only with PM, because for example PM, yes, you have a cost incurred to it, then how do you charge to that one? So that is not a straightforward functionality, is not there. So for this purpose, this SAP has brought this equipment tools management. Then flexibility of price determination, you can have a detailed catalog, then different combination permutation you can manage, and then you can determine the price based on the customer, then based on the site. The way how do you do it in the SD functionalities, that is linked to it in ETM. Then visibility of equipment performance, profitability, and utilization. So the equipment, for example, see how much you have utilized the equipment, whether you bought some asset, whether you are really utilizing it. Those kind of visibility will be there when you have an ETM implemented. And obviously profitability, because return on investment kind of things, whether or you can say if it is an equipment rental company, for them they are buying the equipment is surely for renting and generating revenue. So if some equipments are there, whether you want to check it whether it is profitable or not, so those kind of visibility is also possible from ETM. So now let's see what is ETM supported business process. What kind of business processes is supported in equipment and tools management? So basically there is two category. One is, we call it as an equipment rental, and second one is selling, repurchase, and shipping of consumable and non-consumable material and goods. So here equipment rental, again there is subcategory. There is two way you can rent it. One is internal rental, and second one is external rental. So what does that meaning of internal rental? For example, an equipment, see you take a construction company. Then construction companies normally will have one division which is dealing with their construction equipment. So that those people will be responsible for that one. So it can be maybe a department. So for them, they need to send this equipment for the different project site, and so they have to manage the complete thing. Okay. For example, the project manager may not be looking into it. They will just say, I want this equipment. Obviously, all the project you cannot buy the equipment for each and every project. So it will be a common asset across the company. So they will be using for different projects. So you need to manage this. So this kind of scenario, see, it's handled in ETM. It's called an internal rental process. So here again, the department is generating the revenue really. So otherwise, what happens? It will become only a cost center. Only just you are incurring the cost, so they don't know the utilization, whether that equipment the department is doing well, whether that equipment which is available properly used or not. These kind of information, if you want to get it, then the ETM comes into the picture. So they do an internal rental, and they will say whether this is on idle or they are doing it. So this will help them to take a proper decision whether they need additional machines are required, or you can say equipments are required, or with the available equipment they will be able to do additional projects, or they can quote for that. They can take a bigger project. So this kind of things is possible from this ETM functionality. Then obviously external rental. For example, you are a company. You might have seen that there are many companies which they simply rent the cranes, or you can say earth movers. So they rent the earth movers, and that is their revenue. So they utilize it. They buy the equipment. You can say cranes or earth movers, or boom trucks or whatever it is. So they create this lift, forklifts, those kind of things. So they will buy that one and they will rent it to the customer, their customer. So they will send it. Then they will generate revenue from that one. So this kind of scenario. So there are so many kind of scenario comes in this. There will be rent for a certain period, maybe rent for a certain hour. So this kind of different scenario is possible to handle in ETM. Then the next business process, which is a bit complicated, comes is that the renting of the scaffoldings, or you can say nails. Suppose you take a construction industries and all. So they use a lot of needs, consumable materials, which they send it. So there will be a central store. Then that will be sending. Same way what we are talking about the equipment. Similarly, a central department will be available. They are responsible for the scaffoldings, right? Then that scaffolding, they need to send it to the project site, or similarly, from the stock, they want to send the nails or screws, those kind of consumable material. Then they need to account it back. So for what happened, sometimes these things, the scaffoldings, obviously it will come back. So the problem sometimes maybe there will be shortage, and the way they have given a bigger piece, then due to the site requirement, they might maybe cut into pieces, and they will coming it back. So this kind of different scenario happens. So this kind of scenario, it is possible to handle in ETM. So that is how it is done. Is so this department, or it is the department which is responsible for this scaffolding or the consumables, they will normally sell it. Then after that, they will return it back. So here, that is why they will say consumable and non-consumable materials. So for example, if you are talking about scaffolding, best example, or ladders, the ladders and scaffoldings, which is actually what happened, it go to the site, but that won't be consumed. It will come back. So, but there may be a count difference, right? Maybe you send 100 ladders, it only 80 return back, some of them are damaged. So then that you need to charge for them. Then surely how many days you have kept it at site, then for that you need to charge a rent. So these kind of scenarios are also handled in ATM. Now let's see what are the industry mainly which is using this ATM. So the common, you can say the common concept is any company that needs to handle equipment, that they can use it. So it is obviously, again, the plant maintenance is already there from SAP perspective. So those normal maintenance of equipment, preventive maintenance, breakdown maintenance, those kind of things to handle, obviously you don't require the ETM. But the other scenarios where the rental kind of things are involved, then surely you need to use it, because basically what happens here, the optimum utilization of the equipment, you need to see the visibility of it, and whether the return on investment is obviously you are able to get it. This kind of things, especially this earth movers and cranes, this kind of equipment, those things are handled through the ET. So these are the three examples which is given: equipment manufacturers, port or construction companies. So you can see the requirement comes for construction companies. They are the people who mainly use this ETM functionalities. Now, what are the prerequisite for ETM? See, obviously ETM is not available as a standard delivery along with ERP solutions, or you can say business suite. So for that, here again, you need a switch framework is required for ETM, which is a DIM. We can say discrete industries and mill products. That is a short form of DIM. So the DIM extension is required, which you need to activate it. So first you need to activate the DIM functionality. Then you will get the option to utilize this ETM, or you can say this system will be available in for the either it is for the configuration, or it is for your whether it is for the configure or to the transaction. So anything, if you want to use it, even if you want to create master data and all those things, then functionality, then you need to activate this. So again, DIM activation, you can refer to SAP notes or how to activate the DIM, and again there will be licensing and all those kind of things which need to be considered. Then when you're talking about the integration perspective, what are the components which is integrated with ETM? So sales and distribution, plant maintenance, material management, obviously finance and FICO will be there. Then again, it is also advisable to use the application components, asset accounting and the project system. So here, one important thing is that, for example, if a consultant which you want to jump into the ETM, surely they should have a thorough knowledge of plant maintenance, plus reasonable knowledge of sales and distribution, and material management is also required. Otherwise, it will be a bit difficult for them to handle these functionalities and business processes. Now let's see what are the key processes covered in ATM. Okay, we generally talk about the functions, but now what are the processes which is covered, or scenarios which is covered in ATM. So one is time-based equipment process. Okay, then time-based equipment process including third-party rental equipment. Then for performance-based equipment process, then non-consumable material process, and as well as consumable material process. So now let us look what are the details here. So here, if you look at this time-based and performance, I will explain in detail in the next slides. But when you're talking about non-consumable materials and consumable materials, which we have seen that in the previous slide, which we talk about that selling and repurchasing process, basically non-consumable materials are ladders or scaffoldings, those kind of things, which normally you rent it, or there are companies which rent the scaffoldings and ladders. So similarly, there will be in the construction company as well, where they can do renting and bringing it back these items for a particular department. So that also will be there. So that way you can use it. These key process also covered in the ATM. Now let us look what is time-based equipment. So, for example, time-based equipment is shipped by an ATM shipping document, obviously, and settled due to time per days. So here, these kind of equipments, normally this ATM equipments, these ATM equipments are or you can say the normal equipment which you need to enable ATM functionality, that is obviously. So this equipment which will send it for a site, or you can say just send it for a rental, and the charges are done, or the rent is charged based on time. For example, I rent it. You might have seen that the functionality for rent a car, right? How do you do that rent a car? You buy it for 1 hour or 1 day. So obviously, it is lowest will be the 1 day. So where that there the criteria is the time. Okay, so based on the time you fix a rent. So the best examples for this kind of equipment rental is the cranes. So cranes are rented for number of days. So how many days you use it, then you need to charge for that time. So the equipment which is rented based on time or days or hours, and you are charging based on that time, then this kind of equipment which in ATM is known as time-based equipment, and it is dealt with a specific scenario. So let us see how the process flows. So this is the process flow which you are seeing it in the presentation, which is talking about the time-based equipment process flow. So for example, the major role which will be the purchasing manager, or you can say then the equipment administrator. These are the major role which is playing here. Then first thing is the purchase manager. They create ATM requisition note. Then after that, so requisition note is like let's say for example a construction. If you take an internal rental, then obviously there will be from the project side, there will be project coordinator over it is identifying the requirement of the project, and then they create an ATM requisition note. Okay, there is a transaction available in ATM space, so that will give you the requisition note. Then that requisition note will come to the equipment administrator, who is the person who is dealing with it. Then here there is the first part which is talking about the create acquisition. Anyway, it is not required always. Acquisition is something like, for example, you have purchased a new equipment. Okay, you purchase a new crane, suppose. Then that you need to use it for ATM functionalities, like for example, rental functionalities and billing. Then that equipment you need to take into ATM stock. So those processes called as an acquisition. So first thing is, once you create a master data, then you need to make sure that you are taken that equipment, you are acquired that equipment, you are done the acquisition, then that is available in the ETM. So obviously ETM before requisition note, then it can be sometimes parallel or it can be one-time process. Then you do that one, then it will go to assign equipment and create shipping document. So this requisition note, you assign the equipment, then you generate a shipping document. So this shipping document is something which is required, which you are sending the equipment from your yard or stock, whatever you call it, from yard to the site or the construction site or construction yard from the warehouse, you can say. So then there will be a equipment returned to construction site. So here there is two things are there. One is you are sending, you are taken your equipment, then you ship to the site. Okay. So then you are returning the equipment from site to back to your warehouse. So first step. So requisition note is there. Based on the requisition note, you created a shipping document. Then you send it out. Then after certain days, you taken it back. So here you have two period now, right? From and to. From which is you are sending the shipping document to the site. Then two is this time which you are returning it back. So between these two, obviously you will be able to find the duration. Then based on that duration, or you can say the number of days or number the time unit, based on the time unit, you will be able to generate a order settlement, sales order for the settlement. So the sales order, normally it creates two sales order. It generates the two sales order. So that is one for the billing purpose and one for the cost settlement purpose. So in the CEM engine, normally CEM is a term which is also called a namespace for ETM. So it is construction equipment management. That is the earlier name of this component. So still that namespace is available in the scenarios they are calling instead of ETM. So you'll find the name CEM. So both are same. One is construction equipment management, but then when there is equipment and tools management, there is ETM. So construction equipment management was the earlier name, and they have enhanced with some additional functionalities, which is becoming ETM. So this CM sales order or the settlement sales order, so it is not one order. So once you execute this settlement functions, once you are executing the settlement function, system creates two documents. One is for the internal settlement, one is for external settlement, or you can say one is for your cost settlement. So whatever the cost incurred, see, for example, if you are sending to your rental, then there will be different type of cost, right? Because you will have the asset depreciation value will be there, then you will have then certain maintenance, then there will be a portion of maintenance unit there. Then obviously your people are there, which is taking care of your equipment. Then their overhead will be there. Then if you have an operator, then operator charges will be there. So this kind of cost will be there, as well as for that you might have a fixed revenue, or you can say fixed charges will be there. So these charges also you will send a sales order and you will create a bill, and that you will be sending to the parties, or you can say whoever is you're paying for that, and the payer you'll be receiving that amount. So this is how the time-based equipment process flow works in ETM. Now, the second type of equipment, which is known as performance-based equipment. So, what is a performance-based equipment? Here, in simple term, which we call it the charges, or how you are charging to for this rental, for this kind of equipment, is based on the performance. And surely, so performance can be measured. So here maybe how many kilometers it is run, suppose the kilometer based charges. So here you are considering the performance, or you can say how many amount of fuel is used. Suppose, say excavator. So here you cannot consider the kilometer, how it is used, right? Because anyway, excavator is not going to run for kilometers. So how do you measure it? You will consider how many amount of fuel or how many liters of fuel is consumed. So based on that one. So here, what happened again? Here you need to measure the performance. So whatever the performance is there, how many is utilized, then based on that you will charge, or you will charge the rent, or you will create the billing document for that one. So that kind of equipment is known as performance-based equipment. So this scenario is a bit different. Earlier it was a time-based, where you are considering the duration from your renting starts and renting ends. But here it's not like that. Maybe rental for a longer period, but you will not charge for that period all. Suppose excavator is taken for a year, but you don't charge for that entire year, right? So you consider every day how many hours is used. Obviously, instead of hours used by the year, it will be how many liters of fuel it is used or consumed. Then that will be the base for the calculation, and based on that, on a performance document will be generated in every day basis or weekly basis. Then that will be taken for the billing purpose. So here it is the process flow. So here again, requisition note, this is the base. Like, you have to create a requisition note. What is the requirement? Then if the equipment is available, obviously that acquisition, this one acquisition will be there. That is the availability. Then assign requisition note to equipment. Then create a PB document. So here the earlier we were doing a shipping document, plus here we'll have one additional which is called as the performance document. Create a PB document will be there. Then the sales order will be created from the performance or PB document. From the PB document is something similar to, you can say, measuring document you will have seen it in PM. So this measuring document is a kind of performance, you are measuring it. So similarly in ETM also we'll use that kind of functionality where the PB document will be created for measuring the performance. Then based on that performance, you generate the settlement sales order. So obviously whenever you do a settlement sales order, it creates two orders. One is for your internal settlement. Internal settlement is nothing but it's your cost settlement, whatever the cost you need to settle it, because that equipment cost that you need to settle it. Then second one, which is will go for the billing. So that billing will taken for the payer. Then they will pay for that amount. So that again, that amount will be, you will be pre-agreed amount will be there. How much will be the rate? Then for that they will be paying for that. So this is in a nutshell how the ETM works. So these are the scenarios available. So as I said, just a recap. For example, ETM is used basically for the planning equipment, and it's used for a settlement. Then again, we said that the major processes are there, which is one is time-based equipment, then another one is PB-based. So then the second and third one, we have a selling and repurchasing of non-consumable material like ladder or scaffoldings, and we have a selling of consumable materials like nails or screws, those kind of things. So these are the things which is comes the major things that's in the ETM. So it covers overview of ETM. So we will come back with more videos on ETM. So please subscribe to our channel and like our video. So hopefully you will be receiving additional content in the future. Thank you.